He actually did that show from Mall of America. That was like that was the start of Nitro, and he went head to head against Vince, which nobody had done.
Right.
So yeah.
The Mall of America, and I do.
We laughed about that. We laughed about it. It did numbers.
Now, why was it that you guys laughed at it? What was it that you thought that wasn't going to work? Was it because of the fact that it was going to be in a mall for the first time? And
Yeah, it kind of looked cheesy. But in retrospect, it was.
I mean,
It was different.
And a lot of people, no, do many people remember this? The Mall of America? And was that the one, and I'm making a fool of myself right here, was that the one Luger came out in?
Yeah.
Right, I remember.
So he was on our show. I think we were taped, so I think he was on. There was a couple of them where, like Rude was on both shows one night. I don't think Luger didn't work in Poughkeepsie, but he showed up on Nitro the following Monday.
Not bad. And obviously, sorry, I keep looking at Sheamus in the crowd here. But yeah, so WCW, Eric Bischoff comes on and he's going head to head with Vince. And this is just kind of like the onset of the Monday Night Wars, right before it's kind of getting onset. At what point do you go from WCW over to Vince and start working with Sean?
This is the thing with Bischoff is '96. I come over in '93 and start working with Sean. So we watch. I was there for 3 years before Bischoff took control. And once Bischoff took control, he got Ted's money, and he came to Scott first, and they gave Scott an offer. And Scott came to me and said, "Cap, like you're not gonna believe what they offered me." He said, "You're the champ." He said, "You'll get more." He said, "So then we got Barry Bloom, we got the favored nations. So that if I got $5 million, and Scott got $5 million. Like whatever one of us got, the other one got." So then we started recruiting everybody, like Brad. Brad asked for $10 million. So,
And that was a hard recruit to get, Brad?
no.
Like
They
I'm talking leading up to that though, because there was all that contract talk leading up to that.
They were gonna pay him for life or something. Look, I just had a sandwich that stuck in my teeth. I apologize.
So you guys got Brett there, you got Sean over there.
So if you think back, and people don't like connect the dots sometimes. All the boys talk, and the guys in WWE at the time knew what we were making, and I've always wondered. Right at this time, the Undertaker took off that the dead man costume and became American Badass. Just coincidence, I guess, right? Because I don't think he could have took that
No.
that hat and coat and all that. I don't think he could have took that to TBS or TNT, but I think a headband and jeans would have been okay.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we were working on all of them, but.
Was that close? Was that ever close?
I don't think so. I think because everybody at that point, then Vince was forced to pay the guys guaranteed money, and they got what they wanted.
And you and Scott get a lot of credit for that, right?
We should. Hell,
right?
we did.
You guys changed the game. Which is pretty awesome. So obviously everyone here, big wrestling fans. Now, how many people here are also a fan of Kevin's acting? Really put all your hands up.
Don't be shard.
No.
How many people have seen Living the Dream? See? British sitcom, 6 episodes. You want to see some brilliance.
So tell us a little bit, what's the show about?
British couple sight unseen buys a trailer park in Kissimmee, Florida, and I'm like the resident redneck that tries to run the Brits out. It's so.
I love it already.
It's so horribly done because, like, the humor would be them adapting to speaking English and our ways, and they're telling me that, like, basically, I'm talking to the guy that owns it. I'm telling him I'm not going to take my stockade down around my motorhome, and I'm like, no, we call it a fortress here. Like, you build a fortress. No, it's a stockade. I said, yeah, it's just like, you idiot. I said, that's fine. I was guaranteed I did it. I phoned it in.
You phoned it in. But you're talking about it like you love it. What is the one show? What is the one piece of acting that is the thing that sticks out the most to you that maybe you feel people don't know enough about?
Super Shredder.
Longest yard.
I think actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually have the first Kim Kardashian movie. I'm actually the first.
You've got the, are you on the camera or?
No, it's black and white. It's poor quality.
Where are the kids? Can we just put the earmuffs on right now? We're gonna get to the rest of the story in just a second.
If you keep the obscure references and you're very, if they catch it, then they're on their phone too much.
We've seen you in everything from Dog, most recently, which I loved you in,
Thanks.
and The Longest Yard. How much fun was that to film with that great ensemble cast?
That was a ball. That was real. I was just hanging out with Burt Reynolds was worth doing that movie, because he had some unbelievable stories.
It was work. Who would you say in the acting world would get along the best in the wrestling world in the back room with the guys? Because I could see Burt Reynolds as maybe a backroom guy pulling a lot of ribs. He strikes me as like a Kirk Hennig type.
Ben Foster would be a good one. Let's see, Channing be a good guy. Channing likes to have fun. Channing likes to fight. Channing likes to go out and fight still.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he'll smack somebody in a heartbeat.
So he will not be invited to the Oscars.
He's hosting next year. And it'll be amazing. That's great. I always kind of look at Channing Tatum and I see him as the cleanest cut, nicest guy on the planet. And to hear you say that, yeah, he'd just wind up and slap him.
I saw him slap a guy one day.
I feel
But
like
me and Joe were standing behind him, so he had some backups.
that helps. And of course, we're talking about on a set of Magic Mike there. Because you've worked with Channing a couple times now.
I've worked with him 4 times now.
Wow. Yeah, so Dog and the 3 Magic Mike movies. Right on. So you guys are like the modern Cheech and Chong.
I was thinking Lewis and Clark.
Cheech and Chong might work too.
Chan's not Cheech and Chong.
No.
I could Cheech and Chong.
Welcome to Niagara Falls, may I say. I think you will like it here, sir. Now,
Who would have thought we'd have recreational cannabis in Canada, coast to coast?
Definitely not me when I was growing up.
no.
No, I didn't. I mean, I live in Florida, and it's a red state. I mean, we have medical cards.
And everyone has a medical card.
Right.
Everyone in the state of Florida has glaucoma.
Dude, anxiety.
Anxiety.
Well, one of our local radio stations, they do a bit every day where it's the police files, and every day the story is either from Ohio or Florida.
Without a doubt. That's
Go
okay.
there. Yeah, you know, people have to understand, you go 7 miles inside the coast of Florida, you might as well be in Jackson, Mississippi. That's the truth. It's rough.
that's why we
IQ
avoid it.
drops from like, 112 to like 33.
And that's gonna be tough because you're not exactly a red guy, though. From what I see on your posts and stuff, like, you seem to be quite the opposite. Like I feel like you and Ron Perlman would get along really
I
well.
don't think a whole lot of the GOPs are from Detroit. It's not a real GOP kind of place.
Fair. Yeah, I didn't see.
But are they actually GOP anymore?
No, and that's just the thing.
Because nowadays Barry Goldwater would be a Democrat.
As all of us Canadians are like, what? That would be a.
Goldwater was the guy that walked in and told Nixon that he was gonna, like, basically, even I'm against you.
Which we needed one of those guys like 4 years ago.
You know what I can't believe that? Okay, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna flip.
Thank you.
100% here.
Thank you.
And say that I'm completely drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm a Trump guy. So, and all of a sudden, the talk comes out. I'm gonna check somebody out. The talk comes out about this assault weapons. Yet, not one assault weapon was used January 6th.
True.
Right. So I mean, that's I mean, where does that? I don't know where it fits, but it's still kind of one of those things we know, like, because we think that we're like, this crazed, crazed country that everybody has an AR-15. It's only like 97%.
Only 97% of the people, and the rest of them all of wrestling. See, that is my 180 flip to get it back to wrestling.
So what I'm doing is I'm testing. I'm going to do a podcast, and I'm testing to see how
This guy in the back is like, yes.
how the wrestling fans are going to, if you venture too far from wrestling, how far they'll go with you. What do you think?
He's like, we're Canadian.
You look like a stranger.
He looks like he's been in the ring though. Now, speaking of in the ring, let's get back to wrestling a little bit here. I'm going to get the typical questions out of the way, the ones that you've been asked a million times. First, who's the best you've been in the ring with? And who, piggybacking on that, who's the one you wish you could be in the ring with in your prime and theirs?
I would say the best I've been in the ring with is Tori Wilson. And then I would probably say Trish Stratus. I haven't been. But that would be what I would want to be in the ring.
That's right. Shout out to the Canadians. I like that. I think, us being Canadian, we could probably get the Trish Stratus thing to happen. Like, that match could happen.
No, she's my buddy. I know her husband, I love her kids. It's just that you asked me when I'm wrestling. I don't know. Randy Orton.
Now, when
That
you...
would actually, if I had wrestling, I'd pick Randy Orton.
Yeah, because Randy is pretty much the total package, right? Like, he cuts a great promo. He tells a great story in the ring.
I was thinking more of the fact that he can carry my old ass.
I mean, I'm sitting too close to you for me to actually say something like that. But no, yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Now, when you look at the competition out there now, we've got, of course, AEW's out there. New Japan has always been out there. And we're even seeing TNA or Impact making another rise. Have you seen, like, are we seeing another kind of wrestling era being here?
I don't watch any of it. Seriously, I don't watch any of it.
No. So
What I'm going to do is a DVR it. So I watched when Punk came at AEW.
Right.
I said, I'm going to watch this. This should be interesting. Because, everybody's been, he was kind of like the anti-hero.
Right.
So he came back, and I was really impressed because he worked with guys that were beneath him.
Yes.
And really put him over. Like, gave 70% of the match, being the guys. And I said to myself, wow, he's really doing this smart.
Yeah.
And it was his way through, like, he was being like a good worker. Lo and behold, he fights Hangman, who I think is mediocre at best. You gotta go with the guy that's, the guy that's selling out the buildings. As soon as he wins, the entire smart wrestling society says it was undeserving, he took it when he's too old. I'm just like, he was a crowd favorite 10 years ago. Now he's an established guy, and
Yeah, and he was a crowd favorite like 5 weeks before that as well, right?
yeah, so.
Yeah, and that is a fickle thing. I find nowadays with the smart mark, as they call them, or whatever, you know, it makes things that much harder to tell a good story. And it's not just wrestling. We see this in movies, in, say, Marvel, DC, or things like that. Like, everyone wants, or Star Wars, you know, people want to just pick everything apart instead of just enjoying it for what it was. Do you think there's a point or a way for us to get back to that as a fandom? And all you kind of.
No, because we're so bonkers as a society. We're nuts. Everybody's labeled, everybody's just. I don't know when the meteor is going to hit, but.
Just don't look up.
Yeah, let me get home and watch. I got a couple things to catch up on Netflix before it does.
Wow.
I want to see that Adam Sandler movie where he brings the Euro kid over.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think
Oh,
it
the new one that's coming
it starts
out, right?
Monday, right? I think it starts Monday. I want to watch that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, because you see.
After that, meteor can hit.
There's wow. So let us talk then about your career then. What do you want to tell the people? What's because this is the thing about hosting panels like this, and especially when you do these all the time. There's nothing I can ask you that you haven't been asked a million times. What's the one thing that you
could,
think
yeah,
would be
no, you
fun?
could say like, Kevin, do you find me attractive?
I can
No,
say
ask me.
Kevin, do you find me attractive?
I would, except you tell me you're selfish.
I am a selfish lover. I am a selfish lover. It's very true. So,
As I sit here quietly.